So this session is about saleability, creating a sustainable asset in everything you do. We've got a slight change in the panel. Rather than Craig Medlin, we've got Kevin Seward. We've got Nishan from pay.com.au and Craig Sheaf from Technical Investing. Okay, so first off, I'm going to get you one at a time to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business. So I'll go with the same format. Let's start with you, Craig Sheaf. Tell me a little bit about your business.
Hi everyone. I own a funds management business, backgrounds in finance and accounting. I was a funds manager in Sydney for 10 years and set up my own funds management business about 20 years ago. So we look for major themes and trends, which technology is obviously one of those, and then we look for individual companies to invest our money in. So my clients are high net worth individuals and family offices, so they entrust their funds to ourselves, and we then go and do research into companies and trends and impart that investment into those, mainly in listed companies, but we also probably allocate about 10% of our funds to startups and unlisted companies.
Thank you. And next, Kevin.
Morning, everyone. So my name's Kevin Seward. I'm a principal consultant for ERA Group, and we're a global cost management and business strategy consulting business. Basically, what we do is we work with organisations to drive their bottom line, build competitive advantage. That's our basic core purpose. And we do this by bringing very deep functional technical expertise to the art of cost management.
Okay, thank you. And Nishan?
Yep. Hey everyone, I'm Nishan from pay.com.au. I head up their partnerships. So in a nutshell, we're a centralized B2B payments and rewards platform. We make paying the ATO sexy and give you points whenever you're making any outgoing business expenses. So I guess there's two main ways we enable businesses of all sizes to do that. Firstly, we essentially enable you to use your credit card to pay up to 100% of expenses, so things that you couldn't before, suppliers that don't accept a credit card, things like your rent, your payroll. If you have the right credit card, you can really start to rack up the points that you can earn. And then on the flip side, we've actually created our own rewards program known as Pay Rewards, which I'll dive into a bit later. But what that does is it unlocks business owners' ability to double dip, so choose to earn points on top of their credit cards, but essentially also start to earn reward points on all their bank transfers they make through our platform as well.
Okay, fantastic. And Nishan, you're also a sponsor here today. So do you want to very quickly talk about some of the prizes that from going around and playing some of the games?
Yes. So we've got 10 prizes in total, but the top 3 prizes are very exciting. So first prize, I think it's 385,000 pay reward points. So either can be redeemed for a $3,000 travel credit. My personal preference is actually utilizing those points to book a return business class flight from Melbourne to Singapore. Second prize, I believe, is a $1,500 travel credit, and third prize is $800.
Okay. Woo! Yes. Wow, it's exciting. So Nishan, we'll stay with you for now because you've got the microphone there. What's one thing that's most important value about paypal.com.au? How do you kind of turn those purchases into deeper company value?
Yeah, so great question. I think it's important, and at the core of our business is being super customer-centric. So we have a lot of data. We're very data-driven in actually analyzing a lot of the payments that our customers are making and a lot of the rewards that they are redeeming for. So we're constantly actually surveying our customers, asking what exactly do you want? I've been speaking to a few of you throughout the expo today, and one of the big major consensus is we have all these points, Qantas in particular, but we don't know what to do with it. So that's where we come into the picture, and we really help customers understand the value of points, so they actually understand the value proposition, but also what they can do with the points. And that our marketing team really help kind of capitalize that through our digital marketing campaigns that we run.
Okay, lovely, thank you. I'm going to move over to you, Kevin. Now, I know quite a bit about your business. So effectively, you go into mid-cap organizations and show them, almost look at their legacy systems and payments and how they're spending their money and help them figure out massive reductions. So walk me through the process of how you do that.
Yeah, so thanks, Ronan. So essentially, the process around any organisation starts with the premise that I actually know that there's untapped gold in that business. It's just businesses don't actually realise that they have hidden cost opportunities. So the process is broadly based around us doing an opportunity assessment around their business. So we take a data dump and we then take that data, put it through our benchmarking systems, and actually churn out an opportunity assessment, which then enables us to have a conversation with a client about what's going on in their business. We can benchmark it against other projects that we've done internally, and we can build out a program of work based on what's going on in that business. So when certain contracts come up for maturity, so we can build a program of work to get cost out. And typically, when I sort of do this type of program, nine projects that we do out of 10 yield cost savings of a big magnitude.
Okay, thank you. And is that because they've always done it this way? That the previous session was about kind of technology and change, and a big part of Forge is about that new technology. Is it just they've always done it this way? So for 5-10 years, they've not looked at their freighting or their specific sort of cost centres. Is that what you're finding?
Yeah, sort of, but I'd probably expand a little bit more in terms of, there are three main sort of drivers around cost out, and technology was alluded to in the session by Tim prior to morning tea, where he talked about AI, and hopefully that got your cogs whirring around the sorts of things that you can do in your own businesses to actually embrace AI to get cost out. That's certainly one aspect. Supply chain management is where we see a lot of opportunity. So a lot of businesses just don't have the resources, either from a skill point of view or a time perspective, to actually do deep dives. So they don't actually get into the weeds, right? And we use data to make informed decisions, help our clients make informed decisions. Supplier renegotiations. A lot of suppliers just keep rolling over contracts, right? Whereas we go in and we actually go back deep into those requirements and making sure the requirements today are still relevant and pertinent. And clients don't normally keep effective relationships with their suppliers. They're not talking to their suppliers often enough. So they're not actually in the loop about what's coming down the line from a technology point of view. They're not talking about their pain points to their suppliers. So there's no interaction. So we come in and we actually help break that nexus.
Okay, thank you. I've got a question for you, Craig. Now, most businesses are short of money. If I only had more money, I would be able to grow. So you must see so many businesses come cap in hand. Hey, Craig, would you invest in my company? Hey, Craig, we need some money. This session is all about saleability. I read a great quote that said that someone who buys a business, they don't want to work in it. They want to work it over. They want a business that is functional, running well, good margins, and they haven't got to really work onto that. So when you're looking at those businesses that are saleable or scalable, how do you define, and what's your kind of ethos around what makes a good business?
Yeah, we look at so many different industries, so it does vary from industry to industry. But look, in general, it all comes down to the people. And when we're investing in a business, we're really investing in those people. So how those people come across, how they've actually built the business to scale, to give recurring earnings, to build the right culture. We need to go in and have a look and find those basic tenements are in place. So what else was the question?
Just around, what are the core things you are looking for that as a business is saleable?
So I think what anyone going into business, you want to see a differentiation. You want to see that the business solves a problem, and then how they differentiate themselves from their competitors. And so if there's business owners in the audience here, I think it's key to continually look, how do I differentiate myself? And when then you start very early on in the process to work out, a lot of people just start a business without a view of what's my end game. Am I looking to actually sell the business at the end, or bring in somebody else to take myself out of that business? And so I think very early on, people need to go in with the mindset, have a plan. What's my mindset to get out of that business, whether it's through somebody else coming in and taking over from you, or actually taking that business out.
Okay, thank you. Nishan, the next question for you is, are there any other financial tools that you've seen that can make businesses more attractive to investors or buyers?
Yeah, I think it comes down to that storytelling aspect. It's very important to create a narrative and story about your business, how you've came to be. We use a lot of business intelligence tools. We're very data-driven, as I mentioned before, so Power BI and Tableau are our sources of truth. And that's very important for us as a business when it comes to actually analyzing that data and providing insights to a lot of our shareholders during our quarterly reviews. Another, I guess, opportunity for us as well, our CFO will agree, having those budgets and forecasts really tightly knit down is very important. It comes down to painting that picture where the business is going in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, painting that picture.
Well, there's that famous quote about lies, damn lies, and statistics. So if you can tell, we've got some storytellers in the room. If you can tell a great story, then you've only got to look at WeWork. You told a great story, or we're a technology company. No, you're not. Made billions out of that. Thank you for that. Kevin, my next question for you is that how can businesses plan for an exit or succession and maximise their value? So how do you sort of look at those aspects of it?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So the first thing I'd say, if you're actually planning to sell your business, really being organised and planning is absolutely the key. So selling your business shouldn't be a knee-jerk reaction. This is something that needs to be worked through from a proper due diligence point of view. So I'd be suggesting that you're taking at least 2 years to set your business up for success around sale, right? And there's a number of different reasons for that. One is to make sure that you're actually maximising the returns inside your business, so that when you present it for sale, you get the right price that you're looking for. So you're really looking for strong revenue growth, control on cost, good cash flow, those types of things. Another aspect I'd sort of really encourage would be to engage the right experts at the right time. So this is not a journey that you should take on your own. There's numerous legal pitfalls that you can fall into. So engaging the right people at the right time to help you through that process.
Thank you. It reminds me of the famous quote that you only ever get one Alan Bond in your life. Most people sell business probably once. If you're lucky to, there's serial entrepreneurs 2-3 times. But often you're building a business and it becomes all-consuming. It takes decades out of your life, and then for a lot of people, it's their kind of financial retirement because they've invested so much blood, sweat, and tears into that. So they're just not savvy or haven't kind of thought about those things. So, Craig, my question to you is that what misconceptions do business owners have about what makes the company attractive to buyers? What are the signals that they think it's one thing, but you're looking at something else?
Yeah, I think a lot of businesses think that they're pretty special or unique, and it's not always the case. So again, it's differentiating themselves and. Sorry, question?
Yeah, it's about what are the misconceptions that business owners have about what they think is attractive to a buyer.
And I think a lot of people also think that it's just about their revenue. If the numbers look good, then somebody will be interested in their business, whereas that's obviously not the case. People buy the business for a lot of different reasons, whether it's their branding, their unique customer base, and so I think it's really, again, looking inside the business and becoming aware of what your differentiation is and what might attract other people to your business.
Okay, thank you. Nishan, I've got a question for you. Pay.com.au sounds like quite a niche business. There's another guy I met called Steve Hui, does I Fly Flat. So yeah, how do you value a business that is quite unique, and how do you sort of get that return when people potentially don't understand what your business kind of does?
Sorry, could you repeat that last bit?
When you're in a very niche industry and you do something that not everyone understands accountants, everyone understands, hey, we put temporary fencing up. So some businesses are easy to understand and quantify, and some that are quite niche are far more difficult to kind of understand. So how do you, if you're looking to sell, is it that same story? How do you find the hook that allows someone to understand the value and what you're selling as a business?
Yeah, great question. So for us, I guess the main thing is building that customer base, first of all, and then also painting that story about, so as a business, we're twofold, right? So we've got the payments platform. Our purpose is to build Australia's #1 payments platform within Australia. And the other side is the rewards side of the business. So if we can focus on, making those two propositions very strong, that value proposition at the end of the day is going to be very, strong for anyone that's looking at the business as a whole.
So does that mean that you've got two revenue streams rather than relying on one?
Absolutely. So we have 3 revenue streams. So we make, revenue every time customers put through transactions through the platform. And by building our reward side of the business as well, every time customers go to redeem through our airline partners, hotel partners, there's a revenue stream from that as well. But then we also leverage our partners. So our core focus is to actually be the best payments platform in the local Australian domestic market. But we've actually partnered with other FX companies to leverage their expertise in that area to actually enable our customers to earn points on international payments. So it's through partnerships where we can really start to kind of leverage, a whole different revenue stream as well.
Okay, thank you. Kevin, my next question for you is, what would be the absolute red flag? And, see, you use that software to look at a lot of businesses and you benchmark them. What would you say would be the #1 red flag of this business isn't sellable, or don't touch this with a barge pole? Have you found kind of similar traits where you go, this is just a bad business?
Well, I'd sort of break that down, explain that in a concept around what I would call sort of proof of success. So whenever you're going to sell a business or buy a business, there needs to be a body of evidence that supports the story that's been told about that particular business. And before I sort of dive a bit deeper on that, I mean, I've never actually sold a business, but I almost bought one once, and I actually cancelled that contract through the sale process because the proof of success didn't tie up to the story. Now, I don't have time to go through that detail, but if you want to talk to me later, it involves a nightclub and a well-known gangland figure in Melbourne, so I'll explain that a bit later. But proof of success really is critical if as a seller, you actually want to engage with the buyer and give them confidence that what they're buying has value, true value. Okay, it also gives you a chance to actually strengthen your negotiating position. So clearly that's going to be part of it. So proof of success, if there's a lack of proof of success, that's a red flag and you should run.
Okay. And same question for you, Craig. Again, you run your eye over just so many businesses. What's the red flags of they need to get this in order before I'm going to invest, or I wouldn't touch that type of business? Or is it people? Is it relying on just too few customers? Is there a common trend where you just go, this isn't a sellable business?
Yeah, it's a lot about the people's track records. And it's a lot about credibility. So buying any business, you need to believe in that business and they need to be credible. And to do that, it's usually built over a period of time. So what we do is we go back and have a look at what the people have achieved previously. Have they done what they said they were going to do? So when people go about setting their budgets and targets going forward, just try and set them to make sure that you hit them, because people are going to come and look, well, what was their budget? Did they overachieve? Did they underachieve? So it's very much about, seeing that they did what they said they were going to do, if they were able to execute. And we do speak to other people in the industry. So if you operate in industry, you want to have that good reputation. People want to know that you've got a good culture, that you spend time in your business, because that information does get out.
So, Kevin, does that mean that you went to all the other nightclubs as well to find out the reputation of the seller of the business you nearly bought?
I told you I'd explain that later.
All right, well, this is Chatham House rules, so you can tell us that in private, and it won't go any further. Look, I'm going to open up the floor to ask our panel of experts some questions. So, can we have the lights up, please, and then some roving mics? And I'll start with Richard at the back there. It's a microphone.
Question for Craig. Craig, purchasing of businesses, sale of businesses, they happen all the time, and people do their best possible due diligence, but there are always stories in the media and elsewhere of you don't really find some things until the hood's been well and truly open, and it might be 12 months or thereabouts until you really find out some of the inner workings of a business and so forth. Is there anything that either the sellers or those that are buying businesses can do to protect themselves if they find things that might not necessarily be exactly the way they wanted, but they only find that out 12 months or so down the line?
Very difficult. Obviously, they can put a contract in place that maybe has some put option or something in it where if targets don't get hit, then there's some shares that will come back. Further shares could get issued to the new buyer, depending, again, if you're buying 100% of the asset or not. Maybe there's some, incentivise your employee, the CEOs and such the right way, where maybe you underpay for that business, but then there's stronger KPIs and things in place that they get bonus payments on hitting certain targets that can protect you to some extent as well. So I think it's setting up that right. If you're buying a whole business as a private business, there probably is more ways that you can actually structure it to give you some protection if they don't hit their numbers.
Okay, thank you. Tal, did you have a question? Just wait for the mic.
Right, so this might be probably a question for both you, Craig, and Kevin. It occurs to me that we're in a technology conference here, and there's a counterintuitive notion when entering a business or investing in a business. The outgoing owner is reluctant to invest in improving their business before they commence or go through the sale process, because, well, why should I continue to invest if I'm going to be leaving? I want to try and capture as much of the capital that I can, so I'm not going to go through the motions. What's your thoughts on changing systems in a business ahead of a sale?
Well, I'll start if you like. Well, I'm a strong advocate that when you're in the process of selling your business, you should be running it as a going concern, right? To make sure it's strong when buyers come through the door to have a look at that business. So I would advocate continually to invest. I'd advocate that systems and processes are continually evolved to make sure that they are completely viable. I would encourage sellers of a business to make sure that that they eliminate key person risk, that they do develop their teams, so that once you exit, that individual exits the business, then it's a going concern. I understand why some people would do that, Tal, but for me that's counterintuitive. If you want to get best value for your business, it needs to be shown in the strongest possible light.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that, Kevin. I think if you go into a business and you see that their operating systems, software is behind, then you're going to get a discounted price for that business most likely, and it probably hasn't achieved the potential that it could have because it's had those delays. So that will probably get reflected in the selling price anyway.
Okay, we've got time for a couple more questions.
Hi, thanks to all the speakers. So this question's inspired by Nishan and the comment that you made around creating narratives, and then also inspired by Kevin and some points made around using data points to inform that. I'd be really curious as to how each of you bridge that gap between interpretation of data, information that you come across, and then creating a narrative, and then how that narrative is differentiated for various audiences that it needs to be told to.
Okay, thanks, Caitlin. Right, so great question. So data gets you so far, right? But always context is needed, right? So if I take an example around working on a cost category reduction, right? So for instance, I'm working with a client at the moment where we've looked at their agency labour, okay? And this is a not-for-profit client. They spend $20 million a year on agency. Now, they had 18 suppliers, okay? They were processing, upwards of 20,000 invoices a year, right, on those 18 suppliers. And we did a deep dive into their numbers. So what that client didn't know was the margin that those agencies were charging the business. They were just paying the invoices. So the data tells us 18 suppliers is way too much, 20,000 invoices is way too much. And when we told them the margin they were paying, that was phenomenally too much, right? So that's the data. So going back into the narrative and the story, okay, it depends who you're talking to. So if we're talking to the procurement team and the finance team, you can be sure that you can spin a narrative that is fairly factual, okay, and fairly nuanced about getting outcomes. However, in this particular cost category, there's a little bit more to it because it's about care of their clients, okay? And those clients have disabilities, and those clients are in child and family arrangements, okay? And these are care providers into those areas. So when we go to the market to basically stand up a panel to reduce from 18 to 8, okay? We work with the stakeholders on the front line to ensure that we understand the needs and wants of what's actually happening from an operational point of view. So we weave that into our narrative, okay, when we go to market. So it's about getting a blend of all the different factual data points.
Thank you. We've got time for one more question before we go for lunch. Yes, the back there. Thank you.
Thanks for the whole panel. Just a question in regards to the businesses, they are in a startup phase or scale-up phase. But in order for them to grow, you need the investment in the business. But to get the investment in the business, you need to show revenue, but you're not there yet. So it's a kind of chicken egg kind of scenario where you need investment to grow, but you don't have enough growth to show for it to get the investment. So how do you handle that sort of scenario? It's for Craig and Kevin.
Yeah, it's the question that everyone has difficulty with, and what we encourage people to do is just strap it as long as you can. The earlier you come to seek investors, the more they're going to take of your business. And that's why a lot of these businesses are really family and friends and house mortgages, and to get it to a particular level before a professional investor will come in, or you'll have to give away such a large percentage, or they might not be interested. There's really not an easy solution. There's obviously a lot of venture capital firms, startup operators, angel groups that you can go and talk to access capital, but it's very difficult at that early stage. That's why 90+% of those businesses don't make it, and there's not an easy solution.
There's a couple of final points I would put on here. Nishan said, channel partners, finding different ways to sort of grow that aren't sort of traditional one. Alan Gill, who's in the audience today, he put me onto a fantastic book a few years ago, which was A Beautiful Constraint. So as a startup, a bootstrapper, you have a constraint. You can either go, I can't grow because I need more money, or you can flip that around and go, we're small, we're nimble, how can I? And so that changes the mindset of, I can't grow because I'm small and I don't have money. And you flip that around, the beautiful constraint is I don't have money. How do I then, you can find more creative ways. So great challenger brands find more creative ways to grow even though they don't have the revenue. Well, can we have a round of applause for all of our panelists today? Thank you. So, who's hungry? Hands up, who's hungry? Hands up, who wants to win some of the games that paypal.com.au have got? Who wants to fly back to Singapore and on business class? All right, so thank you very much. We will be having break outside. Use the app, play the games, meet new people, spark these conversations, and we'll start again after lunch. Thank you.